everybody. Welcome to the Cupid's Coach podcast. I'm your host, Julie Ferman, inviting you to transform me to we for yourself. And today I have a really interesting guest. I've known her for quite some time because we were both members of the National Speakers Association, which is how I met her originally. Her name is Elena Michaels, and I'm very impressed with who she is. She's a bit of a Renaissance woman, so I wanted to bring her to you today. Welcome to the program, Elena.
Thank you so much, Julie. It's so wonderful to reconnect with you again, too.
It's amazing as I was studying up on you. Let's see, you're a naturopath, you're a functional medicine doctor, a hypnotherapist, a health intuitive, which lets you combine everything and do it your way. You're also a meditation facilitator and a spiritual coach when you're not singing and songwriting and acting. So
And sleeping.
what was it that your dad said to you at one point?
Oh, my stepdad was a psychiatrist, and he said, "Can't you just do psychotherapy and that's it? Do you have to do all this other California kind of stuff? Can you just be a psychotherapist?" And I said, "What do you want from me? I'm not a square peg fitting in a round hole. It just doesn't fit. I just have to be who I am, you know?"
And I'm guessing you just kept finding disciplines that you really wanted to master. So you just kept studying and studying and studying, and you're probably still a lifelong learner.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. And some of these things, like the card readings that I do when I do my private card readings for people, I started doing card readings when I was a teenager, and people didn't even know what the cards were at that time. And in graduate school, I did a paper on using tarot cards in psychotherapy. So, I started really young, even though I didn't grow up in a family like that. I had a lot of interests very young that were kind of out of the ordinary.
Did you
So.
have a sense that you were just more psychic and intuitive than the average bear?
Absolutely. Yeah. I had a lot of things happen to me in my childhood. I'll just tell you this funny thing. I used to have visitations when I was little, I mean, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I was telling my mom about them. I had visitations at night, and I would participate with the people in the visitations. It was not scary. And I told my mom about them, and she said, "You must have a fever and be hallucinating." So she started giving me St. Joseph's baby aspirin every night before I went to bed to make sure I didn't have a fever and start hallucinating. So I learned very young, keep my mouth shut about certain things because I wasn't hallucinating. And I learned to keep my mouth shut because then one of my stepdads was a psychiatrist. So you don't talk about hearing things, or getting guidance like that. And then when I was 22, I had a near-death experience. So that was a lot of input that came also from that experience. So yeah, I guess you could say I've always had different, ways of perceiving things.
Yeah, and I do believe that everything that happens to us in our life prepares us for who we're going to become tomorrow. And so the fact that you had all of these early experiences, you were intuitive and perceptive and psychic from an early age, and then a near death experience. Without telling us too much, tell me about like what became clear to you in having that near death experience that was not clear before.
Oh, that's a whole other story. I had a surgery and I died during the surgery. And then I was sent back. And then a year later, I was scheduled for another surgery, and I did not show up for the other surgery. And it was a hysterectomy. The first one was removing all these tumors. The second one was where you got to take everything out. And I just didn't go. And what I did instead was use the information that was transmitted to me when I had the near death experience when I had been taken out of my body the first time. So I did that. And when I had the first surgery, they said, "You'll never be able to have children." And so I just did what was transmitted to me when I was supposed to go back for surgery again. I never showed up for the surgery. And I have 2 sons.
Ah, somebody told you not to show up for that surgery. Isn't that amazing? We this is another thing that we have in common. I had similar situation, tumors when I was in my 20s, and dermoid tumors, nasty. And I was rushed to the hospital into surgery, and they took 1.5 of my ovaries. And so it wasn't impossible that I would have children, but it was a challenge, unlikely. So I started working with an Oriental doctor. She was one of the foremost authorities on Oriental medicine in the country, and she happened to live in Lawrence, Kansas, an hour from where I was in
Mhm.
Kansas City. I would drive to her, Elena, twice a week, both ways, to get acupuncture. And she gave me all these herbs and she told me what to eat and what I couldn't eat. And she would yell at me when I would eat the wrong things. And she was the very first person I called when we got pregnant with our first boy. And we have
Ah, I
children.
love that. That's wonderful. It's
Isn't that
wonderful.
amazing?
You
Just
can't always believe what they tell you.
Well, especially because you're clearly somebody who is intuitive and can get information from other sources. So you have that superpower. And I know people who do. We all do it a little bit at some level, but you have a big chunk of it. So, how would you say that that has helped you, not only in your own life, your ability to see things, but to see things for your clients?
Well, there's a term called HSP. It stands for highly sensitive person. And a lot of us are that, and we didn't really realize we were that. And because I can sense energy and I can scan my patients remotely, I can tell what part of their body needs the most attention first. So I can use that. But hey, I'm not like that brilliant at it. If I was that good at it, I'd be winning the lottery, right? So I can't like choose lottery numbers. It's not like I'm that. But somehow in the health arena and in the energy arena and in the relationship arena, I'm able to see patterns and see things happen before they actually happen. And I try not to let what I see happening in the future contaminate what I'm experiencing in the present with someone. But I just I'm just like a transmitter, I'm just transmitting. I'm a channel. That's it. I just am a channel.
One of
So,
the things I noticed as I was studying up on you is that you have an ability to help people rectify patterns, unhealthy patterns like behaviors that they've adapted in their lives and it's not working. Can you give us an example of somebody who had kind of a weird behavior pattern that they wanted to change and you somehow figured out how to make that happen?
well, the thing is, all the information is inside of us. Okay. So I don't really tell people what to do. I help them get through their crap so they can get the answers inside of them that are the best answers for them. So it's about turning them into masters of their life instead of victims of their symptoms. And so basically going layer by layer and helping them see how the patterns, when people have a perception about the way things are in a certain moment, that perception doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes out of a blueprint, a grid in their brain that was implanted a long time ago from primary caregivers, from early experiences, from teachers or whatever. And so realizing that it's not them, it's a pattern that they learned means that they can learn another pattern. So here's an example. I like metaphors. So let's say someone's standing on your foot and you're in pain and you don't know why, but it hurts like hell and you can't figure out where it's coming from until someone says, "Oh, hey, there's so and so, and they're standing on your foot." You look down, you see someone standing on your foot, you go, "Oh, that's why I'm in pain. Would you mind removing your foot?" And then you're free. So it's a matter of being like unlocking that pattern, that blueprint, that grid in a person's mind so that they can be free from it and then move forward without it,
So
if
what
that
type
makes
of
sense.
patterns are your specialties? Some people are really good at working on eating disorders. Some people it's anger. Some people it's chewing our fingernails. I mean, what are you particularly adept at and good at that you've helped people through?
Well, actually, all those things you mentioned have a root cause, and it's all anxiety. And anxiety, actually, when you have like a gut feeling about something, well, the gut's the second brain. So a lot of stuff is about gut. If your gut's not working, your brain's not working because they're connected. And being able to get your gut to work and take care of your health is how you can function better in your relationships And the other thing too about that is communication is key. Did you have a class in high school that was communication 101? No, neither did I.
Sadly, no, no.
No. So we don't know how to communicate. We don't know how. If somebody's doing something upsetting, most people go, you're doing that thing that really bugs me. Why are you doing that? In the meantime, because you've used the word you, that person has already glazed over and is waiting for you to stop talking so they can defend themselves. So I was in my office one time with this couple and I said, let's talk about using I statements. And I said, are you familiar with that? He said, absolutely. It's when you look someone in the eye. And I said, actually, that's important. But I statements are when you talk about yourself, that leaves the other person the space to step up to the plate and take responsibility for their behavior. When I say talk about yourself, I'm not talking about being egocentric and bragging. I'm talking about, I'm really uncomfortable when this happens between us. Stop. Don't say anything else. It's called showing the porcupine to the other person. And then they're like, okay, I better say something here. What are they going to say? They're going to say, you're wrong. No, they're going to go, oh, um, I'm sorry. Or it allows them to step up to the plate and take responsibility for their own behavior. Another big downfall in communication is the shoulds. Well, you really should be eating this way. Oh, you really shouldn't do that. Oh, you really should, when someone is talking to you that way, you really should, look them right in the eye. Or you really should. All that does is make your partner or the person you're talking to, your coworker, your family member, feel like they're defective, they're doing something wrong, and you're the big teacher. Nobody wants to feel that way. And nobody wants to communicate with someone who is taking that I'm higher than you stance. So it's always about, I'm wondering if I, I know that if we could do this, our relationship might be enhanced. I'm thinking something about us right now. Do you have a few minutes to talk about it? It's always we, us, our. It's never you this, you that, never you. I tell people, leave the word you out of the picture and see what happens. It's magic.
Elena, Dr. Elena, you're a woman who's been both married and has been a mom and has also experienced what it's like to be out there in the world as a grown up, single, and doing that thing we call dating. Am I right?
Yes, 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 yes.
So I'm dying to know, as a person who knows so much about this stuff, and here you are on a date with someone, or you're in a gathering with a bunch of people, or you're with family members, and you see that somebody's just not on this level that you're talking about at all. How do you deal with it?
I pretty much don't. I just let them, do their thing. My big thing is allow, like when I meet somebody and there's an interest there, whether it's where they came from, a referral, a friend, whatever, a dating site, I say to them at the beginning, don't make up a bunch of stories about me and how I'm going to be in your life. Don't make up the whole scenario. Just allow us to just be who we are and get to know each other and see if we're comfortable with each other. Don't make up a story. I have a girlfriend who's single and she meets a guy and she's already, oh, I want you to be in my wedding. I said, wait a minute. How long have you been going out with him? I know, but this is the one. I go, you don't know this is the one, really. Just allow things to unfold. And as they unfold, a lot of times in dating relationships, one partner already has in their head, this is the one. This is the one. You don't know this is the one. Yeah, there's the cosmic thing where you meet somebody. It's like, oh, I had lifetimes with this person before. We have so much in common. Yeah, that doesn't mean it's going to be the one. It just means you met somebody on the path that has a lot in common with you, and you just have to allow it to unfold.
I like the way you said that about, at the beginning of a date, if you can just sort of set the tone and laugh about it together that, okay, here we are in this thing called a date where we're going to be evaluating each other. It's always a little bit nerve-wracking, isn't it? Well, how about we just allow each other to be who each other is and we just just have an enjoyable conversation without an agenda. How about that?
That's right. And don't plan on having sex with me right away because that's not going to happen. And then don't act all disappointed because it didn't happen. Because I said at the beginning it wasn't going to happen. You thought you were going to change me. You thought I'd warm up to you. I told you at the beginning it's not going to happen right away. But men are funny. They think, oh, I'll just warm her up, you know. Yeah, she'll change your mind. If a woman says, I go slow, I don't kiss on the first date, I don't have sex on the first date, I might not have sex with you for a while. I have to know you. I have to trust you. And this is something else that's really important. A lot of men on the dating sites, it says type of communicator, and they go touch. They all say touch. Now, you know the five love languages, right? One of them is touch, but it's not touch for most women.
Right.
So sometimes a woman and a man get together and he's trying to hold her hand and put his hand on her leg and, you know, kind of switch up to her. And she's like, whoa, let's talk for a while. Let me get to know who you are. And then he might say, oh, no, the past doesn't mean anything. Let's just go forward. Well, wait a minute. I have to know who you are, where, what it was like growing up in, I don't know, Virginia with a brother and a sister and a disabled little sister. I need to know what your life was like. You want to know how my life is like? Don't shut me down and tell me you don't want to know about my life. I'm not going to spill my whole life in the first date, but something may come up and remind me of something. I mean, I was with my husband for 50 years. Okay. We met when we were very, very young and he passed away. So I am a widow as well as everything else that you mentioned at the beginning. I hate that word widow. It sounds so horrible. But I
What word?
just
Let's come up with another word for it.
single. I just like single. You know,
But
widow
people, you know,
sounds
well, it,
sad.
but being in a widowed category is in many ways higher in terms of people's esteem than somebody who's never been married and they don't know the history. I know so many people who've never been married, but they've raised children, they've lived together, they've had monogamy for decades. So I encourage people not to judge based on that. But there are a lot of people who come to me saying, I would love to partner with somebody who's been married before, ideally widowed, and knows what love is and knows what commitment is and knows what it is to hang in there for 50 years. You know, just out of curiosity, the relationship that you had for 50 years, what were the qualities looking back on it that you most appreciated in him? If you had to pick three, what would they be?
We laughed a lot. When I met him, he had that, she's the one for me, but I didn't have that. As a matter of fact, the first time he asked me out, he called me up on the phone. I was going out with a friend of his. And he called me up on the phone. He asked me out and he said his name. And I went, who? And he goes, oh, it's me, Dave. And I went, Dave, who? He said he wanted to crawl under a rock because, you know, first of all, I thought of him as David. That's the name of a king. Dave is like Dave the slave. You know what I mean? I
Oh,
thought of him as David, but we laughed a lot. And he was so respectful and so kind. And talk about love languages. He was really big on acts of service for me. He was always available to help me. He was always, what can I do to make your life better? How can I support what you're doing? He was never competitive with me. If I gained weight when I was pregnant, which I gained a lot of, he thought I was beautiful. When I got thin again, he thought I was beautiful. He never said, you look fat on that dress. Never. It was always like he was honored to be with me. He cherished me, and I felt that. And I felt his support, and I felt that he was solid. And that was really important to me.
it's so beautiful. And I have a sense because you're such a confident woman. The number one thing that men find alluring, appealing, and attractive in us girls, it's not our boobs. It's actually personal confidence. And you have an incredible amount of it. And I would venture to say that as you matured in this relationship, knowing that you were loved, cherished, and adored, and that he would do anything to make your life better, well, doesn't that help you become a fully expressed, confident woman?
When I met him, I was a kid, really. I mean, you know, when you're young like that, you think you know everything and you don't know crap. You find out later when you get older. Gee, I thought I knew so much then. You ask any 20-year-old, they think they know everything. As we get older, we know we don't know everything. But as we get older, we become better. We become more more fully faceted. We know more of who we are. Back in the old days, you met a guy at some festival and he was cute and you were cute and he had a nice little teepee he lived in, and you just kind of, he said, hey, come home with me. You went home with him, and then you were his old lady and he was your old man. Now it's like, okay, do you own a home? Do you have a car? It's like,
Hey,
there are
I have
things we
a TP. I have
require.
a TP. Isn't that enough?
Back then it was enough because we weren't formed enough to know what was really important. We just wanted to be with somebody. We
Yeah.
just, and that's the thing, I thought about the Beatles song the other day, all the lonely people, where do they all come from? Everyone wants to be with someone. They just do. It's part of our human nature. We want to connect. And the thing about you that is really, really cool is if you have people in your roster that are vetted. You've checked them out. It's not some weirdo from a dating site that looks good that you're going to invite to your house.
Yeah.
Nobody comes to my house, by the way. Nobody comes to my house. But if someone came to my house because they came through you, I'd go, yeah, they can come to my house because they know Julie and I know Julie and she checked them out. So you're like a safe buffer for that Wild West world of dating. I've been dating for 5.5 years. I can't believe it. And I'm not like having such a great time dating. It's like, ugh, enough already?
Well, you know an awful lot about yourself and about other people and the qualities that really matter. So I'm not looking at your profile right now, but can you remember what we determined your top three critical criteria are? Like what you'd rather be
I
single
think
or partner with someone.
sensitive, well, I only have to choose three. That's terrible. But generosity of spirit,
I like the way
um, staying out of spiritual ego and not being egocentric and bragging, um, being a good, kind person,
you.
and someone who can be supportive and empathetic and not just, this guy called me the other day. He spent the entire time, it was from a dating site, spent the entire half-hour conversation telling me all about himself, never asked anything about me. And then he says, okay, we'll talk again. And I thought, we will?
Was that
I
a
don't know.
conversation? Do you know why they do it? It's the number
They're
one
nervous. They're nervous.
nervous. And I found that really it's for two things. Either he's attracted to you, he's interested in you, he wants to impress you, he's going to show you all of his feathers. That's what we call peacocking. Or in a lot of cases, when I really dig down and I say to him, how come you didn't ask him any questions? Sometimes they're not attracted, they're not interested, they're not engaged, and they don't want us to think that they are. And so they just try to survive the date because it takes a guy about a half a second to decide, and you don't usually know which it is. So do you want to know how to save him when he's doing that?
Sure.
Yeah, you're 20 minutes into it and he's just been blabbing. So you say, gosh, David, Jack, Stuart, it's so interesting to hear all about you. What do you want to know about me? Pick a topic, any topic. And you don't say it in a like a mommy way, like you're admonishing him. You say it in a way that, oh gosh, this is so much fun. I'm so curious. Now, what are you curious about? What do you want to know about me? And if he does it again and he sidelines and back to him, back to him, back to him, give him one more shot. Well, that was an interesting story. Okay, now what are you curious about? What do you want to know about? And even if you never see him again, you've helped me to help him get a friggin' grip about it's supposed to be a
If
diet.
he comes through you, if he comes through you, I've helped him, helped you help him. If he comes through you.
Well,
Um,
it's tricky. It's tricky because here's something I've learned about coaching, and I know you know this too. Unless they're asking for it, unless they want to know, they won't have any ears for it. So I'm really excited about something that happened this morning. There's a gentleman I'm working with right now, and I really like him a lot. And he doesn't have a lot of he hasn't done a lot of personal growth and development work. He's got one of those other qualities that women come to me looking for: highly educated, really smart, totally successful in the world. But in terms of personal stuff, he's kind of regressed in that way. So I asked him if he wanted to be part of my boot camp class as part of his matchmaking program with me. And he kind of just blew it off. But then we're going through introductions and we're seeing some common threads, and I'm trying to find out How growth oriented is he? Can I say to him, dude, you didn't ask her a question the whole time, right? I don't want to throw it down his throat, but he said yes to being part of my boot camp, which just started. It's the whole month of August. And do you know what he's doing now? He's emailing me all the time. What about this? And what about this? And what should I say when this happens? And I'm like, yes, that's what I want, because I get a chance to say the things that I wanted to say. If I just shove it down, so you know what, Dave, I got some feedback. I think you're going to want to hear. He ain't calling me back.
Right. No, it's all about supporting and educating, in what you do, what I do. It's helping people access their best selves because many people can't. They have their past experience that are contaminating their present situation. They can't be fully present in the moment. That's all that is required. Be present in the moment. That's it. You don't have to bring a big, resume. You don't have to bring a dowry. Just be present and allow people to unfold. Now, there's another thing too, which I see in my practice is how to handle the waiting in between. If someone really, really wants a great relationship and they are in that uncomfortable place. Is it ever going to happen? I really want to be with somebody. How come I can't meet anybody? They're going to the same places. They're meeting the same kinds of people. They're trying to stretch up, but they're not meeting anybody they can really connect with. And some women will be with anyone rather than be alone. And other women would rather be alone than be with someone they're not connecting with. I am the second category. I'd rather be alone. I like myself. I like my company. Then be spending time in a committed relationship with someone because they have a lot of perks or accoutrements, but I don't have that. I don't have that soul connection, that love connection with them. So I want to read something to you because this is something that I came across yesterday morning when I was meditating, and I want to share with you. It's about that space of waiting. The rain will come in its own time. We cannot make it happen. We have to wait for it, the I Ching. How difficult is it sometimes to wait for life to unfold, to restrain ourselves from trying to hurry it along or make things happen before their time? In our eagerness for results, however, we forget that waiting is as important a part of life as doing. There is a purpose to waiting, as Richard Wilhelm observes in his translation of the I Ching, which is the Chinese Book of Changes. Waiting is not mere empty hoping. It's the inner certainty of reaching the goal. It's interesting to note that the hexagram entitled Waiting in the I Ching is also referred to nourishment. The period of waiting is a time for us to nourish ourselves, not a time to, oh no, is it ever going to happen for me? It's like, slow down, nourish yourself. What can you do to fine tune yourself? If there's nothing we can do about a situation except wait, we can use the opportunity to plan, relax, research, and reflect. All highly useful activities that invariably lead to the direction of illumination. When the fishermen can't go to sea, they repair their nets. Don't you love that?
I completely love it. And I think I'm going to do something creative with it. I think I'm going to take this little bit and make it part of the first week of boot camp curriculum, because really what it's all about, I like the space between relationships as this incredible opportunity to recreate how we want to be. We came off of a long-term relationship, and here we are with a space in front of us, which is uncomfortable, but we get to prepare for what's next. And the more we can fully receive the present moment and learn from it and learn, like put ourselves in school studying this.
Nourish ourselves, nourish ourselves. That's what alone time is so important for, especially if you're an HSP, a highly sensitive person. Highly sensitive people get overstimulated when they're with someone all the time. And then, like, even if you've dated someone for a short period of time, when they're out of the picture, you're like, ah, okay, now I could just spend the whole day being quiet and not talking to anyone. You get to reset your nervous system, reset your vagus nerve, just recalibrate yourself. You can't recalibrate yourself when you're with someone all the time. And a lot of times in the relationships, you're on the phone with them every day or you're seeing them every day. And it gets to be a bit much. I had a boyfriend a couple of years ago who always wanted to like be here. Like hey, Elena, when are you done with your clients? When can I come over? And I used to, it's terrible. I would lie and say, no, I'm working till 6 today when I was done at 3, because I just wanted quiet time. I didn't want to be like, have somebody in my space all the time, you know?
I
And
do I do know. My husband's been retired for 25 years. And so the first part of my day, from super early in the morning till about 3 o'clock, I'm doing what I'm doing, like you're doing what you're doing. And to go straight from that into I'm available for play and I need a little time. So for me, a meditation and a little nap works.
yes,
Sit outside in front of the house with the dog and journal or something, but I do need that quiet time. Allison Armstrong calls it transition time.
absolutely.
Very, very important. Question for you, Dr. Elena. You have been single and doing this thing we call dating with relationships over the course of this last 5 years. If you were to give some advice to the 5 year ago version of Elena who was recently widowed about dating, what would you say to her?
Well, first of all, let me say something here. My husband and I separated, and we were separated, but we were very best friends. It was very amicable. So I started dating when we were separated. He was still alive when I started dating, and he was very supportive. Oh, did you have a good time last night? Oh, he gave you roses. How nice. I mean, he was wonderful, you know. So, but what I would give to myself as far as advice, be careful, because people aren't who they say they are. And you don't know if what they say is even true. You have to take the time. And I know people are like, oh, we're our seniors, we're over 50 years old, we don't have a lot of time. We're over 60 years old, we don't have a lot of time. You have time to get to know somebody, to trust that person, to be able to emotionally be able to hold you when you are down. And you don't know that until you have spent time with them and watched them over a period of time. So when I first got out of the corral, right out of the gate, right away, somebody reached out to me. He was fabulous. I thought, oh my God, this is so easy. I met my knight in shining armor. He's incredible. Well, after 4 months, I found out that he actually was married, even though he told me he was not. They were separated. And I found on social media, doing the private investigate, Dr. Elena's private investigation company right here, I found a picture of him and his wife celebrating their anniversary in a different town when he told me he was out of town on a seminar. And I thought, wow, I can't believe what anybody says. I can't believe what they look like in their pictures. I
Mhm.
can't believe what they tell me. I'm from Missouri. I'm not really from Missouri. I'm from Ohio, but I say, I'm from Missouri. That's the show me state. Show me who you are. Show me who you are. And then when I get to trust you, it's different. At the beginning, I'm just watching you. I'm in it, but I'm also a witness watching myself in it to see who you really are. Because people just aren't who they present themselves to be. At the beginning, they present themselves to be who they think you want them to be.
That's right. It's what Chris Rock calls a representative. That's who we send on our first dates.
That's right. That's right.
So I had a
Absolutely.
really interesting podcast interview with my good friend and colleague, Evan Mark Katz, and I listened back to it yesterday. And we really had a wonderful wrestling match about how very often men kind of want to find out how the physical part's going to be, the sex part, before they commit. And women very often really kind of need to know that he's solid before we go.
That's right. That's right.
So when a man is pushing toward physicality, how can we, what are the words that we can use to let him know it's going to be great if we get there, but we're not there yet? And what I need before that happens is blah, blah, blah. How do you handle it? What are the words you use?
Well, first of all, I don't even know if it's going to be great when we get there.
If you're in the room, darling, I have a feeling it's going to be great. I don't think you're the lady who just stands there, lays there, and looks at the ceiling. I don't think you're kind of, no.
I pretty much lay it out right at the beginning myself. And I say that I need to go slow. I don't move quickly. I need to see who you are. And when they go, oh, don't you like sex? For me, sex is a cosmic experience. It's not just like sex, you know? And what also people have to realize, especially women, When you are with, and of course, I have a spiritual orientation, but my cat is 21 years old, so she's very conversational. I'm sure you hear her. Um, but when you, as a woman, allow a man to enter your body, his molecules are merging with yours. So you have to be really sure. It's like, do you want to eat junk food or do you watch your diet? You have to be really sure who you're letting into your energetic field because that energy is in you once you have intercourse with someone.
So this is
And
beautiful because this is what Evan was saying, that really everything should be okay, on the table, on the menu, except for intercourse. And basically, you're kind of saying something similar, which intrigues me because I've always kind of said to people, keep your pants on, don't go south of the border, until you know that you're dating each other exclusively, you're not dating anybody else. And Evan said, no, that's, you should be able to fool around on the couch like we did in high school. And what do you say?
well, I'll tell you something. Kissing is the key that unlocks the door. So when a woman kisses a man kisses a woman, you know in that kiss is there electricity. And you know that if there is electricity, you want to go further, but you have to have your shit together. You can't be drunk, you can't be high, or else you're just not going to be in control of yourself. You have to be in control of yourself. And you can kiss and you can make out and you can let that energy go. And you can tell when you hug somebody if there's electricity there. And if there's electricity there, you know that the intercourse and the sex and that spiritual communion is going to be profound. But wait for it. Savor those little pieces and wait for it because it's big
Yeah.
to have that. It's not just, screw somebody and the next morning, oh, that was great. See you next time. And then this is where women get into trouble. They give their bodies too soon. And then they're pining. Why hasn't he called? Why isn't he calling? Well, why should he? You gave him the cake and you let him eat it too. Why? You
My
know,
mother used to say, here's my mom. You see, can you see Sandy and Jerry Hardesty? She'd say, why buy the cow when the milk is free? She kept saying,
exactly. Exactly. And I'm not talking about playing games. I'm
right.
talking about women, if you cherish your body and you see it as a temple and you value who you are, be careful about who you let in the temple. You don't let somebody in the temple who is not of the quality you want in the temple. And you can tell when you kiss somebody, is there something there or not? And if there's not, there's not. You can't make it up. And if there is, you talk about the fact that there is with the person. Wow, I really feel that incredible energy with you. And I know that if we go further, it's going to be really awesome. But we have to go a little slow to make sure that we're going to go further.
Yeah, I think that, and the way you said it, I think a man could hear it. I've heard of other things that people can do to really get a sense of whether you're comfortable physically. Dancing is one of them.
I love slow dancing, my favorite.
Yeah, and you can get really intimate and close with somebody in the dancing process. And this sounds goofy, but another way that I find is really beautiful to get close to somebody is doing a project together. It could
Yes,
be something like you go to Habitat for Humanity together and you figure out how to do drywall on a house and you do it together. You get a recipe and you cook it together and you're in there in the kitchen together and you're sort of touching each other and the music's happening. I've seen so many people fall in love over the cooking of a meal.
absolutely. And that's why when I'm an actress too. And that's why when you're working on a project with somebody, when you work on a project with somebody, you're doing something together with them, you're doing a show and the energy, that's so many, romances happen that way. Whether they last or not is a different story, but it's the project, it's the intention of doing something together, exactly what you said, you know,
There's
anything,
this,
anything.
there's this couple that got together, I want to say about 15 years ago, and they almost didn't have their first date because she is a grandma, a new grandma. She was probably like 53, 54 years old, a new grandma for the first time in her life. And she was babysitting for the kid, and then the date was going to be that night. Well, her daughter had some kind of a auto trouble or something like that, and she couldn't get there in time. So, and she called up the guy and said, "Look, I think we're going to have to postpone our date because I'm babysitting for my grandbaby, and my daughter can't get back in time. She's had car trouble." And he said, "Well, I like babies." And she's like, "Seriously? You just want to come over to my daughter's place and then we could have the date here and change diapers together and feed the baby together?" He said, "That sounds like the most fun date I've ever had in my life."
I
They are
love that.
together to this day.
I love that. I see that's a man who is willing to allow to whatever the moment presents, roll with it and be easy about it instead of being rigid with his idea of, no, I had an expensive restaurant that we chose and we'll have to reschedule. That right there, if somebody said that to me, my cat's sick, I have to take her to the emergency vet. I'm sorry I can't make it. Well, let me come with you. I'd be like, I'm in love with this guy.
Interesting. I love that. Okay, one more question that I want to ask that I know is probably on some people's minds. I haven't done a podcast episode specifically on highly sensitive people.
Mhm.
How is highly sensitive people different from ADHD, autism? How is it the same? I know somebody who I know is a highly sensitive person and yet has never been diagnosed that way. How do you know if you are or you aren't?
Here are some qualities of highly sensitive people. They get overstimulated in large crowds, like the Hollywood Bowl. They get drained. They're usually very empathic. They also have very sensitive body symptoms. They might have food sensitivities, not necessarily full-blown allergies, but food sensitivities. They also get very uncomfortable when they're rushed. They don't like to be rushed. They don't like to be late. Um, and there are highly sensitive people who are introverts, and sometimes they're considered to be on the spectrum. And there are highly sensitive people that are extroverts. And extrovert, highly sensitive people, first of all highly sensitive people have a history of trauma. Okay. And so extrovert, highly sensitive people look like they have the world in the palm of their hands. They look like they can handle anything because they learned how to act as if they could. And they learned how to be self-reliant because they had to be. But their highly sensitive aspects are still there, but they look like they're very high functioning. They look very high functioning. So no one would ever think they're a highly sensitive person. And if they say something like, well, we're supposed to go to the Hollywood Bowl and, we'll meet you there. And the person is like overwhelmed with all of the people around. I tell my highly sensitive people, if you're going to be in public, eat protein before you go because it'll help you stay grounded because you can't be so out there. You don't want to be highly sensitive people aren't necessarily spaced out. They're just overstimulated and have to really take time to recalibrate their central nervous system. And that's why I mentioned that boyfriend that I had, who we're still very good friends, but we're never going to be together as a romantic couple. He lives back east. But I needed time to recalibrate because he was always wanting to do this and go here and go there. And I like to do a lot of things too, but I felt drained by his energy and I needed time to recalibrate. Highly sensitive people have to take time for themselves. The caveat to that is many of them, because they have a history of trauma, don't know how to self-soothe. So they get very anxious when they're alone. So they'll take anybody. They don't care. They'll just be with anybody rather than be alone. She doesn't fit the picture. I don't like, she's got kids. I didn't want kids. She's kind of broke. She wants me to take care of everything, but I don't want to be alone. I'm too anxious alone. So they'll just do anything rather than be alone. The key is you must, whether you're at HSP or not, you must learn how to self-soothe.
Is
And
there a quiz that we can take to find out if we're highly sensitive people?
go online. Go online and look up what are the qualities of HSPs? What are the qualities of highly sensitive people? Um, and many of them are very high functioning. So you don't think they're that. They're not the ones that are like afraid of electromagnetic fields and afraid to go out in public and can't speak. They have social anxiety. Many of them are very high functioning. very high
Well, I can
functioning.
tell that one of your specialties is helping all of us accept and cherish who we are and to strengthen who we are by understanding where we're strong, where we're weak, what can we do to strengthen in areas where we're not strong, all of that. You're I can tell this is why you've been so successful at what you've done. You're very, very good at this. Thank you for sharing everything.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's so wonderful to hang out with you. I love it.
Great. I'm so glad we reconnected. I think it was LinkedIn or something that connected us again. So if people want to work with you, I know you have some type of a meditation thing to talk about what we can do to get into your world.
Okay. Well, I was doing a meditation class live in Valencia, California with a packed room, donation only. I've got the singing bowls and the chimes and all the stuff. But then COVID hit. So then I started doing it in my house with my cat. And then I had a major flood and I had most of my house ripped out. So I stopped doing it. But I'm about to start up again with that. And so there's a channel called Dr. Elena Michaels Guided Meditation on YouTube. There's that. Then, as far as private card readings or spiritual counseling or health intuitive stuff like that, I have drelena.com as my website. drelena.com is my website. And I'm all over Facebook. I'm on social media. So they can find me there. And I work basically, I don't have an office anymore. I didn't have an office even before. I mean, I had an office during COVID, but even before COVID, I worked with people on the phone from all over. And then so many times when I had to get dressed and go to the office, it's only 10 minutes away. But I'd think, oh, I wish I could just sit here with my animals and just talk on the phone. And then COVID hit. I was only in my office a couple times. I let it go. And now I just work exclusively on the phone.
It's a common story, isn't it? It's beautiful.
And I find that people are more open on the phone because you're not looking at them, you're not watching them. They're much more forthcoming, much less inhibited, which is surprising.
Interesting. Well, I've really transformed everything by being able to do video conferencing on Zoom. So many of us have. And I think a lot of us gave up our offices right around the time of COVID. So
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't want to be a downtown Los Angeles office
Oh,
building owner.
oh my God, all that driving. Oh, the driving. Oy, you
I know.
know?
Well, you're an
Anyway,
absolute delight. Thank you so much for doing this, Elena. I'll see you
thank
again
you
soon. And
so much.
we're
Namaste.
reconnected now, so we'll be in each other's worlds. And
Love it.
ladies and gentlemen, study up with Dr. Elena, see if she can help you with anything that you're wrestling with. And thank you for being here. Now you go out there and transform me to we for yourself.
More love everywhere. More love.
More love.